Well, refugee policy is certainly a pressing issue for many politicians. This morning, Angela Merkel's CDU has suffered historic losses in Berlin state elections, and the right-wing anti-migrant party Alternative for Germany polled 14%. It's widely seen as a verdict on Mrs Merkel's refugee policy. But what about the UK's role in helping refugees? Well, Theresa May is going to tell the UN later on today that unprecedented levels of population movement risk undermining public confidence in the economic case for legal migration. Is she right? The Labour MP Yvette Cooper is a former Shadow Home and Foreign Secretary, and Heidi Allen is the Conservative MP for South Cambridgeshire. Both have campaigned on refugee issues in Parliament. Yvette Cooper, what we hear that Theresa May is going to be talking about is going to chime with a lot of people in this country who are concerned about immigration, isn't it?
Well, I think that Theresa May is right to say there is a difference between economic migration and refugees and those who are fleeing persecution and have no safe home to return to. But where I would like to see the government do more, though, is on helping refugees rather than having a lot of the delays that we have, a lot of the sort of bureaucratic resistance and problems that we've seen. Because I think most people in this country do, even however concerned people are about immigration, and there are all sorts of concerns that people have, most people still think we have a responsibility alongside other countries across the world to do our bit to help those who have no safe home to return to.
And Heidi Allen, the UK has agreed to settle 20,000 refugees by 2020, but that scheme's come under criticism for delays.
Yes, and it isn't just the 20,000 actually, because there were two further announcements from the government. If you remember, there was 3,000 vulnerable children and families from the region, plus the Dubs Amendment that Yvette and I worked very hard on to achieve, which takes unaccompanied children. And Yvette's right, the bureaucracy, we saw it when we both went to Calais sort of 3 weeks ago, being wrapped in red tape between sort of the French Home Office and ours. And, whilst I support what I anticipate Theresa will say today, the bit I'm particularly interested in, the words I've seen her use, concrete action in partnership in the countries most affected. So we know that that's Greece, Italy, France, Calais. So, we have to make sure we play our part for the people that are in Europe already, because they can't go back.
And it's certainly the case of Yvette Cooper, isn't it, that the government would argue that a lot of money has been spent helping people in the camps that are closest to Syria.
That's right. And investing, obviously, in the camps, making sure there is schooling for refugees who are in Jordan or Lebanon or Turkey is incredibly important and can prevent people needing to make dangerous journeys in the first place. But it's not the only thing. You've also got to have action against the smuggler gangs who make money out of people's misery and desperation, and also a coordinated programme of sanctuary. And one of the things that Heidi and I have both worked on is particularly this issue about helping child refugees, children and teenagers who are alone, who have nobody to look after them, actually many of whom may have family here in Britain who could care for them, and others who have family nowhere to look after them. And we should be doing our bit to help. So yes, help those camps in the region, but let's also do our bit elsewhere as well.
Heidi Allen, do you think that more needs to be done to help the child refugees that Yvette Cooper was talking about?
Yes, I do. And progress is being made. It's just depressingly slow. I mean, since the journey that Yvette and I made in the summer, pretty much all those children who were in train, their paperwork had started to come here, I understand now have pretty much been brought over. But it's getting those children into the system in the first place. And I don't care how strained diplomatic relations are. If I was the Home Office person, I would make it my absolute mission. I wouldn't rest until I had, befriended the French equivalent in my position there, and we would work together in the camps to get these children into the system. And that applies, with a German counterpart, a Belgian counterpart. We all have a responsibility to find the children that have relatives in our own home country and bring them out of that horrid place as quickly as possible. So we have got to do more.
On the resettlement scheme, the 20,000, Heidi Allen, it's a voluntary scheme for councils. Has your council taken any people in?
It's interesting you should say that, because I've got a meeting on the 30th to talk about that with all the chief executives from every council in Cambridgeshire. Cambridge City, of which I have a small part of my constituency goes into the city. Yes, we've taken some, and we're actually championing at the bit to take more. Part of my South seat, it's a confusing boundary. It does sit in the city, so geographically it's the city, but it is South Cambs Council. Yes, we have taken some, but we need to do more. And I know the chief execs of the various councils across the county are keen to do more. I'm meeting with the Bishop of Ely next Friday to talk about any housing that we might have. We have volunteers coming out of our ears, but it's just, we're ready, but we're not seeing those families' crew come through.
And Yvette Cooper, what about your council?
Yes, Wakefield Council has, and we have some families, Syrian families, who've arrived. And I've spoken to a lot of councils across the country and organisations who are saying, yes, they are ready to help. And it's a huge tribute to councils and communities who've come forward saying they're ready to help. I think we should be attempting to speed up the programme to help the 20,000 Syrian refugees. We should be attempting to do that in 2 years rather than in 5, so that we can do our bit alongside other countries where, there's obviously support already being offered.
Yvette Cooper, Heidi Allen, thank you. And we did ask to speak to the Department for International Development, but no one was available this lunchtime.